I want to begin with the Supreme Court striking down a Trump-era ban on bump stocks for guns. Those are devices that increase the rate of fire of semi-automatic weapons. In a 6-3 ruling, the justices decided the accessory does not turn those firearms into a machine gun. The ban was put in place during the Trump administration following the 2017 mass shooting at a music festival in Las Vegas. CBS News chief legal correspondent Jan Crawford joins us now. So, Jan, good to have you with us. Justice Thomas wrote the majority opinion. What did he say?
You know, he's basically saying that bump stocks, the way they kind of change the operation of a semi-automatic weapon, doesn't mean that they can be classified as machine guns because they still operate differently with how they are fired. And when Congress banned the sale of machine guns, that was for machine guns. And so you can't try to just shoehorn other guns under that definition, even if it's well-intentioned. So the decision really kind of reverts back to the interpretation of that law during the Obama administration. It was President Trump who came in and said, I'm going to do something about bump stocks when President Obama didn't. And he then adopted these, his Justice Department and ATF adopted these regulations that would have treated them like machine guns so they could be banned for sale. Today, the court is saying, nope, that law is not workable that way. And if anybody's going to ban bump stocks, it has to be Congress changing the law. But of course, Congress has been unable to have any kind of even reasonable gun control efforts, even gun control efforts that would be supported as bump stocks are by 70 to 80% of the American people.
All right, and even Justice Alito, in his concurring opinion, mentioned that now that they're clearing up what the statutory text means, Congress can act. Can you explain what he said in his brief concurring opinion? You
know, this is essentially not a Second Amendment issue. I mean, no one is suggesting that you have a Second Amendment right to absolutely own bump stocks. So Congress could step in and ban them if it wanted to. Now, there was a fierce dissent by Justice Sonia Sotomayor joined by the other two liberal justices, saying that the way she read the law, Congress already could have banned bump stocks, and the court's majority got it absolutely wrong, that even under the existing law, bump stocks still could be banned, and saying that today the decision by the court could have deadly consequences.
What else are you looking out for? This is obviously a busy season right now, Jan. You and your team, you are watching the opinion webpage on certain days. What is it that we're all watching for the rest of the month?
You know, Lindsay, I mean, every June the court hands down its most controversial and consequential decisions because generally those are the ones that are hard cases. They've split the lower courts. They've divided lower courts. They've divided society, and they're going to divide the justices. So there are going to be different opinions, different writings, dissents, and that's why we get these big cases in June at the end of the term, and there are a lot of them this June. I mean, we've got another case involving gun control that I think could be very significant on whether or not people who are under domestic violence restraining orders can possess guns. That could have a wide-ranging impact to other kind of people, whether it's felons or drug addicts. We have a case involving the environment and climate change, free speech, and the First Amendment and social media and kind of restrictions on social media. We have another abortion case that we're still waiting on. And then all of that, in addition to two major cases involving whether former President Trump can be prosecuted for his actions around January 6th, whether he has some kind of immunity from prosecution. And if he doesn't, can he be charged with obstruction of justice, like several hundred other January 6th defendants have been charged, a charge that, by the way, carries a 20-year jail sentence. So these are high stakes cases, and we're going to get them all over the next couple weeks. I expect the court to wrap up at the end of June or sometime in early July.
Okay, we'll stay tuned. Jan Crawford, thank you.